Welcome back to the Idea to $1,000 FlutterFlow app building challenge. In today's lesson, we're going to start building the core functionality of our app. For those of you who are new here, we are building an AI sales coach app, which will help aspiring sales reps become better at sales. Sales is a field that I'm very excited and passionate about. I think it's a fantastic field to be in. There's a lot of money in sales, and it's often becoming looked by younger people to get into, as it's a great first job to get into. So the purpose of this challenge is to teach you how to go from idea to $1,000. And over the last 2 to 3 weeks, we've been going through the Dreams into Apps process completely by hand using AI. I've already designed the app. I've wireframed it. I've built the bare bones working prototype in FlutterFlow, and we've connected our FlutterFlow app to Firebase, and authentication is working completely. If you are new to this challenge, you can go back to YouTube and find all of the parts leading up till today. I think we are on part 8 today. And so today we're going to be actually building the core functionality where we'll be sending voice files to a backend provider, parsing the voice and understanding what's going on, and then using AI to kind of extract what's going on in the voice and then feedback with answers. So the use case that we're trying to solve here is that as a sales rep, I can complete a daily challenge. The daily challenge is a scenario in a sales conversation. A sales rep will handle that scenario where they're going to be trying to sell a product to a specific type of customer. They're going to handle the objection, or they're going to handle the question that was answered and feed that response into an AI. The AI is going to be trained on our own sales data and then a data set that I've acquired to help identify what's a good sales answer, what's a bad sales answer. It's going to have some psychology and some books that I've trained it on. I won't exactly tell which ones because that's part of my IP. But all you need to know is that we're going to be training our own fine-tuned model on what a good sales conversation looks and feels like. And then using AI, we are going to detect whether or not a sales rep has given a good answer or not. So we got a handful of people here today, excited to be building. But I want to start this stream off with something a little bit different than just jumping into building. I want to start today off with some competitor analysis. What I absolutely love is when I'm building an app that has similar apps in spaces that aren't quite the same. So this app that I'm building is like the Duolingo for sales reps. And so Duolingo isn't necessarily a voice coach, but there are a lot of voice coaches out there already on the App Store. And even though these voice coaches might be for other industries, that's okay because there's a lot to learn from other industries as well. Other industries have already, attempted certain experiments. They've spent a lot of money in R&D, and if it works in one industry, it's very likely to work in another with some tweaks that relate to your specific user group. So there's an app that I have been just analyzing a lot. When I lay in bed at night, I'm going through apps on the store, and I'm looking for apps that are trending in the charts, that are new, that are grossing a lot of money. I go to appfigures.com to really find out if there's an app out there that's generating a ton of revenue, to see if there's really a market for it. So I'm going to open up my phone here and show you guys an app that I've been studying. Cool. Share my phone here. Sweet. Looks like y'all can see my phone. Fantastic. Cool. So an app that I've been studying is called Voice Image, and this is an AI voice singing coach, or I believe it's an enunciation coach. It's a very high quality app. It's doing hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue every single month. It is built in Flutter, so we have validation that this type of app can be built with the tech stack that we are all building our apps on. It looks like it's just taking a little bit of time to load, but any second here we should get in and look at this app called Voice Image. Let's get in here. Of course, when I want to demo something, things break. That's very common in the software world, by the way. Let's see what's going on. So just to show you guys the app, this is what it's called. It's called Vocal Image AI Voice Coach. It is a speaking and communication coaching app. Speak with freedom and clarity, master communication skills, understand how your voice works, take fun voice tests, explore expert content, track your progress, and then install to join a million happy users. So this is an app that helps you with your voice. I think there's a lot to learn and then potentially feature inspirations that we can take from this app and incorporate it into the space that we are building an app for. If they really wanted to, they could definitely compete and add like sales challenges here. But like I said, an app that's trying to be everything for everyone is actually nothing for no one. They are going all in on the voice market. So, singers, clarity, celebrities, those are probably markets that are way closer to that original voice space. So I'm not very concerned that they're going to try to come compete in the sales space. They obviously have the talent and the technical expertise, but at the end of the day, I have the unique insight of what the best sales trainers are looking for. I have an understanding of the market of aspiring sales reps. And I think that we have an upper hand when it comes to the go-to-market strategy, which we'll talk about later in the challenge when we're actually getting our first users. But my point is I want you to see that when I see an app like this that's generating hundreds of thousands of dollars, I'm not getting scared. I'm actually getting inspired and I'm looking for positive opportunities to potentially compete. So cool. The first thing that happens when I open this app is they have a special gift for me. If I click on open, it looks like they're trying to offer me 50% off of their annual plan. This is a pretty common tactic in the app world. They have some scarcity at the top where they're telling me I only have 3 minutes to really claim this offer, and I'll just exit out of this. For the purpose of this demo, I actually want to sign out and create a brand new account so that we can see what their onboarding flow looks like. It does look like I am struggling to sign out. It doesn't look like I even created an account. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pause the share. I'm going to actually completely delete the app and remove all its data. And then I'm going to go back to the App Store and download it again. So I'm downloading the app. Shouldn't take me too long. If you have any questions or if there's something that you want to see, feel free to post a question. I see Tina is on that Wi-Fi slump. Totally get that. There are days where the Wi-Fi is not as good as I want it to be. Okay, almost done here. Boom. I want to spend the first kind of 10 minutes going through this app and understanding its onboarding flow so that we can not make mistakes and just kind of get inspired off of what they're doing. And if you've seen the designs of the app for Close Your Academy already, you're going to see a lot of similarities. So the first thing that you see here is a homepage. And this homepage is your welcome page that's giving you the value proposition and showing you what this app is all about. It looks like they've used a graphic, a motion graphic to display the features. And they even have a slider right here. So as I scroll with my thumb, I can see different value propositions. Notice the copy style that they use. They are using verbs at the beginning. Check, understand, become, explore, learn. This is the style of copywriting because you are selling a solution to a problem. You're selling an outcome. And so when you are writing copy for your app, it's important that you are selling outcomes. You don't want to be selling logistics. There's a saying in the sales world, you're not selling the plane ticket, you're selling the destination. You're selling sitting on the beach at the Bahamas, becoming stress-free, letting go of your work life. right? That's what you're selling when you're trying to convince yourself to go on vacation. You're not thinking about the, you know, economy seat sitting in between two oversized people and being super uncomfortable on your way from Atlanta to the Bahamas, right? So that's some advice I have for copy. I'm noticing some builders, when they return back with their apps and submitting their clickable prototypes inside of Dreams into apps, y'all are submitting copy that looks too logistic. Like you were trying to sell the feature and you're trying to explain the feature, not so much the outcome. Cool. So I hit continue, and the first thing that they're doing is trying to throw me the paywall. This is probably a test that they're doing to test to see how early they can get me to convert. But nice try. They're not going to get me this time. We're going to kick off the onboarding flow. So it's trying to figure out who I am. And if you know what our designs look like and you've been through Dreams into Apps, you know that we will help you design kind of the self-selling onboarding flow. So it says speak boldly with AI voice coach, and it's asking me to select my age. I'll go ahead and select my age. Now it's asking for my gender. What motivates me the most? So now it's doing this self-selling methodology where I'm trying to tell it what I want. Have you had previous voice training experience? No. Choose areas you'd like to improve on. Leadership, self-confidence, emotions, empathy, continue. And now it's giving me some science and social proof to back up its efficacy. Efficacy. What do you consider yourself? I consider myself an extrovert. Welcome to the extrovert team. So now it's trying to tell me that there are more people just like me and it wants me to feel at home. This is a common strategy in apps, and this is a way for you to feel like, hey, this app is meant for me. I'm an extrovert. I've never done voice training, and this app is telling me that it's good for you. Is small talk easy for you? No. Now it's getting me to admit my problems. Do you try to fill in awkward silences when they happen? Yes, I like to talk. Thanks for being honest. Do you often find yourself interrupted during conversations? No. Are you more of a talker or a listener? Talker. Your words can light up a room. So it's actually giving me this reassurance every two questions, so it keeps me wanting to go forward. If it were to just ask me question after question after question and not give me any sort of even mini conclusion, then they probably know that I'll drop off. So this is probably an experiment, and this is probably the result of hundreds of thousands of dollars of advertising spend for them to land on these conclusions. Do filler words like and frequently appear in your speech? Yes, they do. Do you feel that your vocabulary limits your ability to express yourself effectively? Maybe. I'll say yes. But notice the types of questions it's asking me. They're kind of asking me backhanded insults like, do you have this problem essentially? But they're asking it in a nice way, to get me to realize that I have a problem and that this app is the solution for it. Now it's doing this thing that I like to do in all the apps that we coach y'all on at Ambitious Labs, where it's preparing or personalizing the experience using this loading bar. But now it's saying, oh, I was trying to finish loading, but I got a couple more questions for you. All it's probably trying to do is trick you into thinking that there's some AI in the background that's needing more answers, when honestly, there's probably not. So I'll say, are you a native English speaker? Yes. How would you describe your voice? Confident. I don't think I have a deep voice. I'll just hit that. 90% of people describe their voice wrongly, so it's telling me I have even more problems than I already know about. And now I'll just kind of blast through the rest of this. What type of content do you find helpful? This is probably telling me indirectly that this is the type of content that the app offers. So I'll say shorts, videos, podcasts. Do moments of speaking in front of people ever scare you? No. We're impressed. And I'm just going to battle through all this. So now it's trying to get me to resonate with some people to see if I'm more like that person. Now it's trying to tell me, okay, hey, are you ready to commit? When can you commit? I'll say evening. This is a great way to ask for push notification permissions. And that's typically what happens in all apps. Like apps that want to create a behavior in you will ask you, when do you plan on using the app? And then it will pretty much prompt you to turn on notifications, because notifications are crucial in app re-engagement. If you can get somebody to turn on their push notifications, that means they're giving you permission to talk to them at any time. And push notifications have a very high engagement rate, similar to like SMS. It goes email, SMS, and then potentially push notifications. I'm not sure of one or the other, but my point is that when you get a push notification, you're landing on the home screen of somebody's phone, and that's the best way to get somebody's attention. Okay, so it says your privacy matters to us, and now it's going to do another set of loading. So this onboarding flow is actually very, very, very long, but they've designed it in a way where there's a good combination of social proof, of scientific evidence, and personalization to make me feel like this app was meant for me. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up this onboarding. And I'm willing to bet that this is not like actually doing anything. I think this is all just on a timer. And if I'm you and I'm building an onboarding flow in an app, I would incorporate similarly because this gives the psychological effect that the app is actually personalizing to you. Now notice it's giving me a demo video. I am not a big fan of demo videos. I wouldn't recommend it. But now that I've been through this whole onboarding flow and I've personalized this app, it's now giving me one additional opportunity to convert into a trial. I'm going to hit X and not really go forward with that. They want me to convert, obviously. And if you recall from the lessons inside of Dreams into Apps, I say 65% of trials actually begin during the onboarding process. So if you design a very strong onboarding flow, you can most likely get people to convert into trials. And that is the thesis that I am going to test throughout this idea to $1,000 challenge. I'm going to build the core functionality of the app. I'm going to try my best to simplify the core functionality as much as possible just to deliver the most basic version of value as I possibly can. And I'm going to go all in on my onboarding flow and test so much. I'm going to test various different onboarding flows to get as many people to convert in that initial journey as possible. What I want to do is I want to generate that $1,000 by getting as many people to onboard and start a trial as possible. And then we'll put the healthy pressure on us after we generate the revenue to come back and deliver more core features to actually satisfy my users and get the flywheel effect turning. Cool. So I hope this is getting helpful, but now you see it's throwing me into a product tour. I don't really like product tours. I think that if your app has a product tour, it's not designed simple enough. But check this out. Now I'm being tossed onto the homepage to complete my first time user action, which is essentially like the first time user journey. Um, but a first time user journey is essentially setting up the precedent for what each subsequent visit is going to be like when somebody comes back to your app. So we are trying to create a behavior here and we are trying to condition the user to use our app in a certain way. So by taking me to the homepage, they are trying to get me to get used to coming to the homepage every day and giving me a primary action here. So look, it says free training of the day. Let's go. I accidentally clicked on it. Let me back out. I don't really want to click on it yet. So right here in the middle, it says free training of the day. But if you look at my video real quick, when I hold my phone, my thumb is closest to this free training of the day. And they do that intentionally because they want you to click on that first. They give you some secondary actions as well underneath plan for the day. Those are probably actions that they want you to do, but next after you do your free training of the day. However, my gut feeling is that the free training of the day is literally just the plan that they put together. So it looks like they're just creating a action plan for me to have a better voice, and it knows a lot about me now. And so the idea is that it personalized such an experience for me that everything on the page right here is personalized to me. And it probably is. I believe that this part is personalized because I've given it a lot of information. So it's probably querying their database to find relevant lessons for me to complete. Okay. And then at the top, it looks like there's some like additional tests. I like this feature. We can probably incorporate something similar. Like we could even do voice tests, tonality tests, um, speed tests, because all these things matter in sales. Okay. First, I'm just going to click on free training of the day and see how this goes. Okay, recording tips, find a quiet place, place your phone's microphone 4 to 8 inches away. We probably will want this type of um, warning notice or like tips because we need our users to use our app in a certain way for it to work. So if they're doing it, I think we can do it too. I think there's nothing wrong with doing that. And I'm going to take this back as inspiration. So what I'm going to do on my computer real quick is I'm actually going to take a copy or a screenshot of this, and I'm going to bring it into my Closure Academy UI on Figma. I do this with every app that I build, and I would recommend that all you do this as well. I'm a big believer in getting inspiration. So if you have apps in your space that are relevant, I would also be taking screenshots of them and using them as reference. We're not copying, we are referencing. So I'm going to create real quick. I'm going to show you on my screen how I do this. So I'm going to, in my Closure Academy wireframes, I'm going to create another section here in Figma, and I'm just going to like title it references inspiration. Cool. I'm just going to drop this there. Right on. Right on. Let's go back. Fantastic. So looks like you should see my screen again. Awesome. Let's keep moving. Soon bottom up. Inhale through your nose, creating a yawn-like feeling in your throat. I'm not going to do that right now. But essentially, it's getting me to do a couple things. And now it says record voice before training. But I kind of like how it is in like a story format, like an Instagram story format. And that might be something we want to try later on. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this and move it to my inspiration as well. Because I think that's actually pretty clever because people are already used to that Instagram story style user experience. So now it says tap to record. Vocal image would like access to the microphone. Okay. There is a theory which states that if ever anyone discovers exactly what the universe is for and why it is here, it will instantly disappear and be replaced by something even more bizarre and inexplicable. There is another theory which states that this has already happened. Stop recording. Great. Successful recording. I'll hit next. Now it looks like it's going to give me an exercise. That's pretty cool. Looks like this is like a video player. Can't really skip it. Wants me to do it for 3 minutes. That's quite a commitment to be doing something like that. But people who are high intent and people who want to achieve this outcome will likely do it. Okay. There's a theory which states that if ever anyone discovers exactly what the universe is for and why it is here, it will instantly disappear and be replaced by something even more bizarre and inexplicable. There's another theory which states that this has already happened. Okay, now it says data processing in progress. Gives me this cool animation. Looks like they spent a lot of money and resources on the user experience. Okay, so it gave me my summary. I'm going to take a screenshot of this as well because we also have a summary page. And when we do our prompt engineering to figure out how to assess the voice, we'll want some inspiration like this too. Cool. So it rated my masculinity, my femininity, my confidence, weak and autonomous. It says those are premium features. So if I want to be graded on those two things, I need to subscribe to premium. If I click on pro, it wants me to start my trial. So it's essentially giving me some free value, but then giving me opportunities to upgrade. Audios before recording, after training. Okay. Okay, so I can click on this and get my audios. I think that's pretty cool. We might want to do something similar. And then if I click got it, okay, it says create an account to save your progress and access new features. Not really going to create an account right now. But as you can see, that first exercise is marked as complete. So all it really did was give me an opportunity to start a free training, and then it just gave me the first training. What happens if I click on the second one? Aha. So you get one training a day for free, and then every other training that I click on, it's giving me the paywall. But cool. And I can just continue and go through that first free training again and again and again for free. All right, cool. That's pretty cool inspiration. And I like how it uses bottom sheets to give us like an exit feeling. I'm okay, cool. And then explore, we have a search bar that kind of gives us more opportunities to find other, content, challenges, trainings. We can probably do that in the future. And then the profile page, I like how it has, audio recordings, a streak tracker, achievements, progress, all that kind of stuff. That's pretty cool. Right on. So I'm done with the analysis here, and I hope all of you got a chance to learn something new about my thought process whenever I'm analyzing apps, but also how a high grossing app handles their onboarding flow and the psychology that goes behind it. If any of y'all have ever studied or listened to someone named Alex Hermosi on YouTube and you've listened to the books or got the books $100 million leads, $100 million offers. There's some really awesome content in there that I would get inspired by in the app world. Let me quickly pull up app figures just so I can see what the real revenue is of that app that we just looked at. So app figures is a great way to see what type of competition you have in the app market. It was called Vocal Image. AI voice coach. If I click on this, cool. So it looks like the estimated revenue just went down a little bit. Um, it's doing a few $1,000s a day, which is pretty cool. $45,000. That app that we just saw is generating $45,000 a month. I'm sure they can scale it higher, and I'm sure they have scaled it higher before. If I go to 1 year, yeah, you can see that there are days where it touches, 4,400. And then some days, like one day last year did 5,300. So monthly, that's $150,000. Looks like it's doing around 650K a year. So not too bad, right? Um, not too bad. And so we want to get $1,000. So let's get there. Awesome. 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 Any questions about competitor analysis? I got I got a hard stop in 22 minutes today. We got Adrian flying in to Ambitious Labs HQ. We're doing an in-person project here, so I got to go get him from the airport in 22 minutes. So we're going to try to make as much progress as possible right now. All right. Let me show you something. All right. So we got our Figma here, and if we go back to our app, the page I want to focus on is the core app. So we have our homepage. Oops, not that one. Okay, onboarding three, which is essentially us submitting our challenge. So this is what I want to work on. I want to work on the functionality, the back end functionality of us sending some voice to an AI and the AI judging our voice. Okay, so if I just do a quick refresh, we got our login page, we got the onboarding three, which is actually you completing your first challenge. We have a paywall where we're going to ask the user for money. We have a processing submission screen, a welcome screen, call summary page, a history of all the submissions. We have a profile, and then we have home. So it doesn't look like we have programmed in our homepage or we haven't implemented the design. I think what I want to do next time in next session is design a homepage based on kind of the homepage that we uh, analyzed at Vocal Image. So let me actually take a screenshot of it. Two screenshots for that matter. I'm going to send those screenshots up to my computer. Just so I can have them for reference later. So if you're thinking about building an app that is freemium premium and you want to charge on a paywall, if you follow these steps, you should be able to achieve this type of outcome because it's a proven recipe. It doesn't look like that is letting me do what I need it to. What I'll do is I will just share that screen again. I'm just going to copy it from here. And if you want access to the live Figma files are inside of the Ambitious Labs learning platform. You go to idea to $1,000 challenge, and you're going to see the resource links. You get access to the Figma file right there. So if you want access, definitely check out the Lab Dash. All right, cool. Fantastic. So, like I said, we're not going to worry about the homepage. Right now, I really want to focus on some of that initial functionality. It's been keeping me up at night. I've been thinking about it all weekend, and I was waiting for 4th of July to be over so I get back to building. So, cool. We're going to mimic that same type of functionality that we saw on Vocal Image, where you click Get Started, it flips into a record button, or excuse me, a pause record button. And then once you click on that pause record or end recording, then it will process on the next page. But what we want to do first is we want to understand um, how we can accept um, an audio file and process that audio file. So I'm going to open up Figma and I'll show you what I mean by that. So essentially, we are going to have this screen. Okay, I'm going to go full screen here. So essentially, we're going to have this screen and a user is going to use this screen. User will record their challenge response using the Flutter voice recorder widget. I know you can't see that, sorry. Okay. And that widget exists. We've seen it in FlutterFlow. Then what we're going to do is send that voice file. That's going to generate a voice file. We are going to send that voice file to a API. And this is going to be an API that we create in Buildship. So we're going to say voice file. And then we're going to create a Buildship API. We're going to call this something like slash um, challenge/submit. And this is going to be a post endpoint. So post is a type of API endpoint that takes in input. You learned that in Dreams into Apps. So the inputs that this is going to take in is going to be the voice file and then the challenge ID. Because essentially what's going to happen is we're going to load up these challenges in a database, right? And we are going to have a database that is looking for a database. Just need a cylinder. Let's see what that Figma AI is all about. Doesn't look like it gave me a good one. That's okay. What I'll do is I'll use just quickly actually. Cool. So we're going to have a database, and this database is going to have all of our challenges in it, right? So this challenges database, we are going to get that challenge to show on this page here from the challenges database. So we're going to make a request to the database from Firestore and say, get me get intro challenge. So essentially this is just going to be like query the challenges collection and get me the one that we can use as an intro. Maybe we'll have to have a flag on it that says is intro challenge, or maybe we just get the first one, uh like get first item in list, because we need the ability to change this challenge. And then from the challenges database, that will output onto the page. It will say return challenge data. Okay. So boom, like now we got, I don't like how this is here. Cool. So now we have a flow where we get the challenge from the database and then we return the challenge onto the page. This is called two-way data binding and it's built into FlutterFlow. Okay. So then what's going to happen is a user will record their challenge response. And then when they click done, that's going to send the voice file as an input to a Buildship API. That's what we're going to try to build today. Okay. Uh, they're going to send that to the Buildship API. And then this API is going to do a couple things. It's going to, and I'm going to actually encapsulate all this into a section because it's all like one big process. So what this is going to do is it's going to go speech to text. So it's going to take that speech file and then change it to text because ChatGPT only accepts text if we want to use the assistance API or the assistance feature to run some text through it and then use that text to come back. However, that does create some implications, right? Like we won't be able to judge the tonality, like the voice tone of the rep. We won't be able to judge the voice speed. We might want to look at other APIs down the line, but for right now, I think all I want to do is judge the response, like judge the content of the response. So we're going to go speech to text, and we'll have to find some sort of node to do that. So speech to text. Then we're going to go text to OpenAI assistant. And we're going to create an assistant called the sales rep assistant, right? Or Closure Academy assistant. That assistant will be trained on the data that I've been telling you about, right? Like the books, the content. It will have some prompting and pre-built instructions. And we're going to program that together. So we'll go Buildship API, speech to text, text to OpenAI assistant. We're going to say, hey, OpenAI assistant, here is the response of some sales rep. Here was the objection they were given. Here's a lot of context about, all the stuff that you know about. For example, like the books that you're trained on. So if we say here, we can say sales rep assistant GPT. We can actually create some blocks here. We can say like pre-prompt. We can say sales guru books, articles, and then we could say some other stuff like sales methodologies. I'm not sure what exactly these are going to be right now. I mean, I do, but I'm not sure like what the meat of the content is going to be and how that's going to be structured, but all I'm trying to say here is that this GPT is going to be trained on specific data, right? Okay. Cool. Then that GPT is going to do its thing and respond back with a text-based representation of its feedback for the sales rep, right? It's going to say, hey, sales rep, you did this good, you did this wrong. And we're going to program it to deliver an output that we want. Um, and I think that's all we really need, right? We're going to give it the voice file. The voice file is going to change it to text. The text is going to get interpreted by ChatGPT. And then ChatGPT is going to send that back to the API. And then the API is going to return a JSON back to, oops, a JSON. Well, here, actually, it's not going to go here, right? It's actually going to be another page. So I'll open up FlutterFlow and we'll say, it's going to say processing submission, right? So that's actually what's happening here. Like this whole time, it's actually going to be reviewing the call recording. Okay. And then it's going to go to the call summary page, right? And then the API is going to return a JSON object to the call summary page. I'm gonna say JSON summary. Boom. And that's our flow. Like that's our MVP. Like if we can get this to work, I confidently believe with some design updates and with some strategy on how to get people to come back and keep using this, I think we have an app that can generate $1,000. Um, let's do it, right? Let's start messing around with Buildship and let's see what type of nodes are available. I think that's some good R&D for the day. Let's just play around with some nodes to see what nodes and templates are potentially available at Buildship that will enable us to build such um, product. So one cool thing about Buildship is that they have templates available. So I'm actually going to try to browse their templates to see if there are any voice templates. And if you know of any, let me know. But we can scroll down and find they have chat, audio translator, given speech audio, transcribe it, translate it into the target language, and then finally convert it back to speech. That's interesting. Okay. Firestore to PDF. Interesting. So let's search for audio. Or let's search for voice. Okay, go from voice notes or meeting recording to a fully transcribed meeting note saved into your Notion database. That's pretty cool. Um, let's search for voice here. So go from voice notes or meeting recording to a fully transcribed meeting notes. I think we can use that. Let's just hit remix and see where we land. And I'm going to clone this into my project called Sales Trainer AI. Okay, so what does it do? File upload, convert buffer, then it sends it to replicate. Okay. Okay. Then it generates some JSON. What does this do? To model. Okay. Whisper API. Okay, cool. So Whisper API is speech to text. Then it goes JSON, parse JSON, create the page in Notion, append to Notion, and return. Okay. So if I wanted to test this, well, currently won't let me test it because I haven't shipped it. So let me ship it first. Okay, it won't let me ship because I don't have these keys. I'm just curious. I've never used the file upload, but it says basic trigger that handles file upload. Okay, the trigger accepts only one file. I'm just curious though, because the FlutterFlow voice recorder widget, we need to check the output of that widget. We need to see if it returns a file that I'm going to send up to FlutterFlow or to Buildship, or we need to see if it returns or if it will upload the file to storage, to Firebase storage, and then Firebase storage might just return me a link to Firebase storage. If it only returns me a link to Firebase storage, then this template won't work because we are going to have a storage link that we need to then send. So that's my architectural question right now. Like, that's what we don't know. We don't know if this is going to be a voice file. So let's do that here. So we need to figure out, oops, what is the output type that FlutterFlow provides when a user records audio? Test. Is it a file URL in Firebase storage? Or is it a you call this a base 64 file representation? If it's a base 64 file representation, then I believe we should be able to um, send it here to this API because this API is looking for multi-part form data, which is essentially a HTTP um, request body type that accepts essentially an encoded representation of a file. And that's what we got to test. I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but let's go back and find out. It's better to be safe. Cool. So let's head back to FlutterFlow, open up Closer Academy. Then we'll find the onboarding 3 and we'll search in the widgets. We're going to find voice, okay, or record. So I've ran into this issue in the past where there's actually no native voice recorder, but on the FlutterFlow marketplace, there is a voice recorder widget that somebody else has built. And I'm pretty sure I have ran into issues with that before. But hey, we're not going to shy away. We're going to figure this out. So we'll say voice notes to Notion with Buildship. Looks like Buildship actually dropped this template. Shout out Buildship. Let's see what they used, right? Let's click add now and let's go look at their project. This is going to create a new project in our dashboard. And we're going to say voice notes R&D test, create project. We're just going to say voice notes test for Closer Academy and hit create project. All right. Did that just say error? I think it did just say error. I kind of lost it. Failed to create marketplace project. Sometimes that does that. Let me log into a different account. I've noticed that happens like more often than not. It's kind of weird. If anybody else has seen that, let me know. But cool. Logged into a different account. My recording is paused intentionally. And if we can't find this today, that's all right. We have access to Buildship's team. We can just hit them up. We can say voice. Okay, so funny enough, I was actually able to build it, or I was actually able to copy it from my personal account, which is weird. But essentially, I want to figure out what is the logic. I think they have a YouTube video on this, and I'll link the YouTube videos under YouTube gems here. And it looks like they've given us the template for how to use this. But what I want to figure out specifically is the home page and then how they do the recording logic. Okay, cool. So if I click record, okay, it looks like it's doing some audio recording. Recorder name. Then it's transcribing. Okay, cool. So it is getting a buffer. A buffer is that same thing, a base64 encoded representation. So right here it says uploaded file bytes. So it does look like we can use that type of strategy to send the data up to Buildship. Okay, but let me just see. Is there a recorder on this page? So let's run this and see where we land. Okay. Microphone permissions are required to transcribe. One thing that I actually learned was that you can't use this. You can't use the microphone in what do you say in test mode. You have to do it on a device. Okay. So that's a little frustrating, but no worries at all. What I'm learning is that there is a action that allows us to record. That's one thing I've learned. And if I go to custom code is here. Okay, we have this thing called recording ripple, which is essentially just a ripple wave. All it's doing is like rippling. So we don't really care about that. That's not a deal breaker for us. I just wanted to understand if there are any custom widgets that they created. So pretty much all it looks like they're doing is calling on this like recording widget. So if I'm not recording and I find the action flow editor, it says request permissions microphone. Okay. And then if microphone is true, it will start the audio recording. If not, it will say microphone permissions are required. Okay. So cool. Um, I'm gonna first thing I'm gonna do actually is I'm gonna send this project over to my other account. That way I can log out of this account and actually do this in the Closer Academy account. So to get me through this session, I'm essentially just trying to make sense of how I'm going to incorporate the voice recording logic. Okay, so if I share my screen again here, I'll go to onboarding question 3. And really what I'm looking for is I'm gonna go over to action flow editor and I'm going to understand if there's any page state here because it looks like they have some state where they're keeping track of if I'm recording or not. So they have recording, response received, response sent, start time, end time, file. Okay, so I'm going to copy those things. So at my page level, I'm going to create some state variables. I'm going to just pretty much do the same thing. Recording, response received, response sent, start time, end time, and file. So let's do recording first. So we'll do recording, Boolean, response sent, right? And then response received. Start time and end time is a date time. So we'll say start time. End time. Start time, end time, and then file is an audio path. Cool. And I'm not sure, or do they have a default? They don't have a default. It's nullable. And then they set all the Booleans to nullable as well. So this is nullable. Start and end is not nullable. We'll do nullable, nullable, and nullable. Fantastic. So we set up the states. That's good. Which essentially means that if the state is set to recording, like if recording is true, then we want to show this button as we don't want to show this button. We only want to show this button if recording is false. So let me see what they're doing. So they have these widgets here, and they have a container for if they're recording, and they have a container for if they're not recording. And notice here that the condition is set to key off of the recording value, right? My question is that that means to me, it seems like there's got to be an initial value. Yeah. So initial field value is false because you're not recording. We want to do the same. That's what I figured. So we'll say initial field value is false, which means we're not recording. So essentially what we want to do is I'm going to wrap this button in a container, and then I'm going to set this container to say not recording container. Okay. I'm going to duplicate the container right here. And then I'm going to call this recording container. And I'm going to set this button to yellow or tertiary. And I'll say stop and submit recording. And then I'm going to change the microphone to a done. Cool. Something like that. Cool. And then what I'll do is if I'm not recording, I'm going to enable conditional visibility and say, where'd it go? Page parameter, no, page state. Show this if recording is false. So show get started if recording is false, and show recording container if page state recording is true. Okay, cool. So now at least when I update the state, which I haven't done yet, it will add and remove these as needed. So for button, when somebody clicks on this, the only thing I'm going to do for right now is say page state, add field, recording, toggle value or set value to true. Okay. And then for this button, all I'm going to do is add an action that says page state, set field, recording, set value to false. All right. Let's test this. Let's test this out. If this works, I'm going to call it a session. And then tomorrow, we're going to continue to build out the core functionality here. So I'm really expecting this week that we have the core functionality done. And then going into next week, we can start putting bows on the app, reading and writing to the database. And I want to have this app in test flight in the App Store this month. Like, I really don't want it to go longer than that. I really want to see this out in the App Store. My Apple account's already approved. I already got a DUNS number, so it should be pretty straightforward. If I have to ramp up the frequency of sessions after this week, I will to 5 days a week if we have to, but hoping to make some good progress here today and tomorrow. So real quick, what I wanted to do just to make sure that we can develop faster is set the logged in page to onboarding 3. And just to satisfy the requirements, I'll enable a nav bar here. And then I'll just say voice or something like this, mic. Pretty much, I just want an easy way to get to this page for development purposes. That way I can just continue to test on this page, wire up the APIs on this page. And then when we're starting to finalize the functionality, we can then tie it in to the rest of the app the way we need it to. But the only thing I care about right now is getting to that page and testing to make sure right now that when I click that button, we're updating the state correctly and we're conditionally hiding and adding the correct button. Cool. So when I click get started, it switches to the other button. And when I click stop, it switches to the other button. All right, fantastic. So it looks like our state is working as expected. And the next step from here will be to actually add in some of that logic that you saw over here. So not recording. When someone clicks on this, let's actually just copy the action chain and just bring it here. So we'll update the page state. Boom, boom. Actually looks like it's already doing that for us. So I'm actually just going to delete this action. We'll just make sure that this page state is working as needed. So it will only update the page state if the start audio recording action actually triggers successfully. And that's okay because we don't want to like falsely set the state. So I'm going to say set value true. Fantastic. So that should be good. Looks like we have a couple others and it says button has a request permissions action, but no supported permissions have been enabled. We'll do that. And then conditional execution for action is improperly set. That looks like it's gone too. So to satisfy those permissions, we're going to head over to settings. We're going to find permissions and we're going to make sure microphone is enabled. And we're going to say this app requires access to the microphone to record user responses. Fantastic. Cool. Fantastic. So I hope everyone today is walking away with a really good understanding of how this type of process works when you're building an app, how you think about reading from a database, how you think about sending data into an API, and then kind of modeling out the business logic in your head when you're thinking about building an app that has some complex functionality that may require the use of an API, and then using a tool like Buildship to create your own custom API that has steps involved to create some sort of value using technology, right? And in our case, it's speech to text technology, ChatGPT technology. This will get more complicated. There will be more steps that we add on to this, but for the purpose of just staying lean and building a very tight feature that delivers the value, this is the smallest version of that I can possibly build. So this is what we're going to stay married to. So the plan is for this week that we create this functionality. And yeah, I hope you're enjoying the series. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in Discord. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys tomorrow for the next part. Take care, everybody. Have a good weekend, or excuse me, night. Take care.